Thing that motivates us. It's all about contributing to our well-being, to our wellness in life. And my opinion is that if we live a life with purpose, we're already halfway there. Well, hello, beautiful fellow bold not olders. Welcome to Wednesdays with Wallis. And I'm your host, Wallis Patterson. Look at me today. I've decided, look, I had this thing about having waistcoats. I've got waistcoats and I love them. And they've been sitting in the wardrobe, sitting around, and I thought, I'd like to be able to wear my waistcoats. And I was thinking about this whole thing around waistcoats lately. And then I go and pick up the Marie Claire, or whatever you call it, magazine, and there's a whole spread in there on waistcoats. And when I look at some of the sites and things that I go and have a look at, websites, all these waistcoats are popping up. I'm psychic, and I am, but I'm psychic. So I've got this lovely waistcoat on and this big plastic flower, see it? White shirt, funny coloured Alan Bicker pants that I've got on today. And, I used to talk about leaning on the little ad things so I can make a whole lot of noise. I used to talk about, when I had Wednesdays with Wallis, I used to talk about clothes, and I used to show, clothes I had on and what I was wearing and la. But anyway, you can see all that today. I actually really enjoyed that. Then I got all serious, talking about making money and building things for yourself and doing things. I got all off on that and all serious about it. And I thought, perhaps I can't mix the both. I don't want to be talking about clothes and things. People are looking or watching for me to be talking about business, blah, blah, blah. Actually, forget that. That's just a thought I had at the time, like we all have thoughts. That one's not worth continuing with because it's just simply not true, and you've got to do what you're comfortable with, don't you? Well, okay, having said all that and rambled on for the last minute or so, today's episode is titled, Does Getting Older Suck? Big question mark. Does it? Look, to be perfectly honest with you, I think in some ways it does. I think it's a pain in the butt, pain in the backside, whatever you want to call it, pain in the A. I think it is. I think that, we're not given any manual, or we weren't. We don't have a plan, or we don't know. Nobody says, oh, by the way, here's the manual. When you turn X age, this is what you'll be reading from there. Up to now, you've had this manual. Now you'll have this one, and it's going to, help you through these times, and it's going to help you understand what's getting older, what's going to go on, and the sorts of things you're going to come across, and the things that are going to mentally do you in, and it is at times, it is. And I was really being honest today when I was talking to my lovely girl who is my VA and virtual assistant, and she's gorgeous. Clara, she's been working with me for about 3 years now, and I think we know each other fairly well. She's a real darling. She always lifts me up when I'm feeling a bit down. She can always pick out when I'm feeling, a bit challenged, and she's a sweetie, a real sweetie. She's a darling. But anyway, look, I was talking to her today about, this whole area of getting older. Getting old sucks. And it does, as I said, in some ways. Why? Because things break down, things don't work too bloody well. I've got very sore knees at the moment. And yes, all right, I did have a little, accident and hurt my knee, and then that's progressed over, she says, that's progressed over the last 4 years to being untenable, really, being too painful. And it's affected my whole body. And any of you out there who are listening to this, who have had those types of things happen, or just simply the bloody old knees are, giving out on you. And whoever thought of that? I never thought of that when I was running around like a lunatic, very active and playing sport, kicking the bloody football with my brother, broke his ankle when I was kicking the football, and my father just about turned himself inside out when my brother limped home. And of course, the swine, he's a little bit older than me. God love him, he's passed on now. He did that about 4 years ago. And just out of the blue, he fell off a thing at the gym. He was very fit, and he was riding his bike at the gym and fell off, popped his clogs, fell off the bike, and and died of a brain thing, hemorrhage or whatever it is. But he was a bit of a swine of a kid, because he was the older brother. There weren't a lot of time between us, but he was the older brother, and he was mummy's boy, and he always got his own way. We had a couple of new bikes one time, my sister and I. Lovely bikes in those days. They were quite beautiful, and they had skirts on them, and they had the bell, and they had the little bag on the. Oh, we thought we would just, have a little bag on them for, the little tools for, changing the. Not that we'd ever do that, but, changing the tyres or whatever, a bit like a car. And and this kid, this brother of mine, this older brother, who was a bit of a tyke, always wanted his own way. Mum would ask him to go up to the shops to, get some bread and milk, or go up and pick up something, whatever it was. And it wasn't that far, a couple of blocks up to Brunswick Street in Fitzroy, because that's where we lived and were brought up. And of course, the little swiney wouldn't go to the, shop unless he could take one of the bikes. And of course, my sister and I would scream our heads off. Didn't make any difference. And, Mum would give him the authority to take one of the bikes, and he'd laugh his head off, and away he'd go on the bike. And, we were, most distressed about it. But if Mum wanted the job done and he was Mummy's boy, well, he got the bike. I'm sure some of you have been in families like that as well. But anyway, God love him. He's passed on now. I'm not wanting to say ill things of him or character assassination, but he was a bit of a swine of a kid. But anyway, when I was younger, with my knees, I was all active and I did all sorts of things. I was a tomboy. I wanted to have football boots. I wanted to be like the boys. I wanted to have those little shorts they wore and their footy things all cut off. I wanted to be like that, and I made myself those. Nobody gave them to me because they were so set on me being a girl and not a boy. Off I'd go. They were trying to talk me into it. Off I'd go, and I'd make my own cut-out jumper thing and tack some numbers on it. If they wouldn't give it to me, and I'm still like that. If they wouldn't give it to me and they wouldn't do those things, well, then I was going to look after myself and make it for myself. So I did. And I made myself a footy jumper. I barracked for Fitzroy then, because we lived in Fitzroy. That's where we were brought up, and we used to head off up the street, not too far, to the Fitzroy football ground, and we'd watch, Fitzroy play football on a Saturday. Not every Saturday, but for a lot of Saturdays. We were big, Fitzroy fans, and used to fight with our friends who were over the other next main street from us, and they were all Collingwood supporters. So Fitzroy and Collingwood were great rivals. And of course, we used to add to that by throwing insults at each other. Those were the days. We had loads of fun. I still remember all those times, and, they're memories, aren't they? We make memories in our life, and we can look back and have a good chuckle about it, as I can now. It was a little bit more serious then, but it was a good chuckle. So back to getting older. So I had very, very, good legs. I could run and jump and, everything that a kid could do. I was a wiry little kid. Climbed trees. I spent all my time climbing trees and hanging out of trees, playing cricket, helping that same brother, older brother, with an old car that he bought, that he wanted to tinker with, and I tinkered with it as well. And as I said, I wanted to be the boy, and I wanted to be a boy in the family, not the girl, much to my mother's disgust, and my father they just really didn't know quite what to do with me. And anyway, I was playing football with my brother one day, and I went for a mark with him, and up we go, like all the bloody footballers and what we used to see on television when we were kids. He came down the wrong way and broke his ankle, limped home, crying his eyes out, telling my parents that I broke his ankle. His ankle. He broke his bloody ankle himself. But anyway, I got the blame for it. Boy, did I get into some hot water and some hot soup over that. I thought they were going to tie me to my bed and never let me out again. But anyway, it wasn't too long, and I was out climbing trees again, playing more football and, running around like a hooligan. Good days. And so I had good legs. So when I damaged my knee, about 4 years ago, had a little slip and came down on my knees and damaged the medial meniscus. Well, it went on from there, and arthritis and stuff has set into it. It's deteriorated a bit on one side. They now tell me I'll probably just a partial knee replacement, but I don't like any of that. I don't like going to the doctors, and I don't like going to the hospital. So you're probably one of those people as well. So those things, that's a little bit of a long story. I'm just looking at the time. Bit of a long story about, some of the things that, as we get older. But I want to just take this in a more serious context and go, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just all part and parcel of the journey. It's part of the whole thing. It mightn't be your knees. It might be your elbow. It might be your neck. Or it mightn't be any of those things. It might be just simply that your mind's working overtime, and you went and looked at yourself in the mirror recently and went, oh my God, who's that old person looking back at me? And all those things mess with our minds, I always call it going down the rabbit hole. And if we get so far down the bloody rabbit hole, then it's a real battle to get back out. So I try and not go there. There's been occasional times when I've gone a little bit further than I should have, as I call it. And it's been a bit more of an effort to, drag myself back. But I'm one of those people that I, see my glasses half full, not half empty. So getting older is a challenge. There are things that suck, as I call it. May as well call it as it is. But what I would like to say is this. If there's any way that I can help you, I will. I think that it's about picking up the things off the floor, that are worthwhile, and leaving the other things that aren't. So, and life's like that. There's all challenges. I was on a call this morning listening to some people talking about caring for parents and older people and that with, dementia and all those sorts of things, and being a carer, and they've learned and how much they'd like to help. So I think that there are things that challenge us. There's no doubt. But there's also things that challenge us when we're younger too. And we seem to be less inclined to let those things get us down when we're younger. We're more inclined to let them get us down as we get older. So don't let them get you down. Find ways to motivate yourself. I'm all about creating an age positive movement. I'm all about, wanting to encourage you and others, and myself into the bargain. I want to encourage us all to look for the positive in life, because what else is there? I mean, it wouldn't matter how old you are. I mean, there's no use sitting around mulling over and crying over spilt milk. It's my grandmother and mother used to be, their favourite thing. I'll stop crying over spilt milk. And I think that's true. There's no point in all that. we just need to find the positive in life and think about things that motivate you. Think about the things you really, really love and the things you'd like to do. Will you do that for me? Because I think it's really, really important. So getting older does suck, as I call it, but we wouldn't have the wisdom without the age. We wouldn't have the experience that we have without age. We wouldn't have the ability to say no as freely as what we do as we've gotten older. We're less inclined to hold our tongue, bite our tongue, not say anything, want to be correct, not want to upset anybody, not want to speak out of turn. Well, I mean, what are we creating? If we do all of that sort of thing, we're creating this dumb old ass sitting over in the corner. And none of us want to be that. We want to still be appreciated. We want to be respected, and we want people to notice us. We don't want to be invisible. So if we don't want those things, then we have to speak up for ourselves. So speak up for yourself. Don't go down the rabbit hole about all the things that are not working so well, or a few joints that aren't going so well. Today's modern medicine can fix all that, even if it's a bit of a knee jerk and we don't particularly like it. But the fact is, it's there. We can fix it. And that's, some poor buggers have got stuff they can't fix, and we have the ability to fix most things. Be really, really positive. Subscribe to Bold Not Old, the channel, and support Wednesdays with Wallis. I'm really wanting to build the amount of people we have. I think we're getting near 100. We're going to do a big celebration when we get up to 100, because we've been working on it for a while. And in the scheme of things, it's not many, but it's a start, and you have to start somewhere. And that's what I'm suggesting you do with your life. Don't fall into the category of bemoaning getting older and being old. Get on with it. Get up, get on with it, and get something to be excited and motivated about, will you? Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next Wednesday on Wednesdays with Wallis. Don't forget to hit the button below and subscribe. Thanks for listening. Have the best week. Enjoy and be fabulous, won't you? Bye for now.